Welcome to This Week in Our Collective Heads. I'm Kevin. I'm joined by Patrick, and we're here to save you time. The Gold Plus Roundup is something that we do every month. We review the PlayStation free games and the Xbox free games and let you know what's worth your time. Because even though there's free, doesn't mean that it's necessarily a good bargain.
Exactly. Starting off with Heavy Rain for PlayStation 4. This was on PS3. It's a remastered version of the game, which I really enjoyed this. Branching storylines in this are great. I will say the controls are very unique, as they're trying something a little different to create almost a cut time events to do even the minute things, but it really grounds you in not only your investigation but also some of the actions that you take in the game. The consequences and everything become a lot more weighted because of the controls. But the story is great. The lip sync and some of the graphics may be still a little dated, even though it's remaster. But I would definitely recommend this game.
Speaking of branching timelines, though, Zero Escape, Zero Time Dilemma is the third game in that particular series. And one of the things that's really interesting about this one is that it lets you jump between different timelines. And so it's very much like a choose your own adventure game. Like you'll go through the dialogues, you'll get to the end, and it'll be like, time to make your choice. And then you get to pick one or the other. The part that I played, there was only 2 options at any given time. I think that extends all the way to the end, but yeah. So you're trying to save yourself, and since a lot of the options, just as in the Choose Your Own Adventure books, end with you dying horribly, you can just turn around and you're like, okay, let's go back up to the last decision. And then like it actually shows kind of like a flow chart of the graphs and the different choices that you can make. Mm-hmm. And there is an option where everybody survives. And so I encourage you to go all the way through it. The very end is a really fascinating look at how things happen, why they happen, and the characters are really interesting, and the way that everything resolves. The timeline switching actually plays into the game, which I was really impressed with. Anyway, I'll stop talking about it. Highly recommended. Puzzles, decisions, choose your own adventure game.
Yeah, we also got Death Squared on Xbox One, which is a puzzle game, but not a choose your own adventure game. It's an interesting puzzle game that it reminds me a lot of Intelligent Cube on the PlayStation. It is a kind of physics-based puzzles, and if that's what you're into, that's great. It's very repetitive though. And if you're not into puzzle games, you'll probably get bored of this very quickly and set it down. If you like puzzle games, that's really what you're getting at this. It's not bad for what it is, but don't expect amazing graphics or anything like that. I mean, this game did then get ported from PC to Xbox, then onto iOS and Android. So if that tells you what you're dealing with there, it's not heavy graphics. It's all about the cube puzzles. So yeah, check it out.
And if you want to stare at Vita loading screens, you can download Space Overlords, because timed it took 1:40 to load a level.
Whew.
That is ridiculous. They have like a couple of like it'd do a loading screen, and then it would be like a brief cut screen where it's zooming in toward the level, which you'd think would be time for it to load something, and then it's like, nope, still loading. And that was awful. I didn't try it on PlayStation 4, but the game wasn't worth the wait anyway. Yep. So yeah, definitely skip that one.
Definitely. One I would not skip though is Virtua Fighter V Final Showdown. I've always been a fan of the Virtua Fighter series. I think this is considerably better than 4. Also, the Final Showdown version gives you more characters, more levels. It's great, really great, and over-the-top 3D fighting. And I think that it's not as it's not as gritty as the DC Mortal Kombat stuff, but that's what makes it fun. You know, just something fun to bash each other's heads in, and play as animalistic characters that aren't I don't know, too vicious. I think it's awesome.
So speaking of things that are 3D but do not work, Rayman 3 was on the PS3, and I'm sorry, but Rayman needs to stay 2D. They have voiceovers. It's really bad. The music is there sometimes, but most of the time you're just going to be hearing like repeated sound effects for there's a sound effect for picking up each of the power-ups, for like boosting onto a thing. I was really not impressed with this, especially with how much fun and how entertaining the Rayman games are. It's more fun when they just speak gibberish and I'm required to read it. That's a lot more fun. Go ahead and skip that one too.
Yeah, but I would not skip Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Conviction, especially if you like any of the Splinter Cell games. This is the reboot of the Splinter Cell franchise, and it's really good. It's made a lot of improvements on the previous games in regards to the gameplay mechanics, and this cover system here is new as well. So I think that it's a really good entry into the series, and a really good way to reboot a franchise that that I enjoyed, that not enough people played, in my opinion, or at least less people play. This game came out in 2010, so as you've probably noticed, the reboot didn't do that great, but now gives you actually a chance to play it. I really enjoyed it though.
All right. Speaking of reboots, if you want to reboot your life repeatedly and then kill yourself and then fight against yourself that you killed, try Xtreme Exorcism. This game is stupid fun. So you have a level you're dropped into. You have to go get a weapon and kill this one ghost, and then the next time they drop you into the level, you have to kill the version of yourself that ran last time, and then the third time they drop you in, you have to fight the previous two, and it gets really chaotic really fast. And so you're encouraged to be really precise with what you're doing, because if you just pull the shotgun down, it has infinite ammo, so you can just blast away everything. But how are you going to kill that version of yourself? It's massively entertaining. I didn't get to play the co-op, but I highly recommend it, because it had me laughing out loud repeatedly, and I had a great time.
That's awesome. I did not have a good time with Assault Android Cactus, because I did not get to fight any cacti.
Aww.
I know. It's a twin stick.
That is deceptive marketing.
Isn't it? It is a twin stick shooter, which I'm sure you would have liked better than I did. It's not bad. It's just very, very, very repetitive. The graphics remind me of Psychonauts in the kind of cartoony-ish thing. But every single level was almost the same kind of feel. The enemies were almost the same. The only difference really was the terrain. There were like holes that you could possibly fall into, so you have to kind of watch that. And at one point the lights went out, so I could only see where I was facing or where I was shooting. So it's like, oh, that was kind of interesting. But I never got below a B rating, so it went all the way up to D, C, A, B, A. I never got below and I think I got a B in the first one or two. And then realized that most of the enemies, you don't take touch damage. You only take damage from their projectiles, because you're it's a twin stick shooter, bullet hell kind of thing, where I'm shooting and they're shooting and everyone's shooting and I'm trying to avoid their bullets. And then I realized, as I was trying to go between enemies, oh, they're not doing any damage to me when I run into them.
Yeah.
So then I blasted through and got A's. I went through 10 levels, and it was completely repetitive. So if you really, really like bullet hell, go for it. If you like twin stick shooters, go for it. If you are a younger person, like I don't know, like 4th grade, 5th grade, middle school, like probably would really enjoy this, because it's challenging but not too challenging, and maybe a good like starter twin stick shooter.
Okay. Yeah. Something that might seem like it would be repetitive but isn't is Absolver. This came out from Devolver Digital, and it's like an MMO fighter. It's really interesting, because what you do is you start off with just a couple of moves, and you can kind of chain them together to fight people, and like you have your stamina bar, so like every time you block it takes a little bit of energy, and basically what you do is as you level up and as you defend against moves, defend against it enough, and you're able to acquire that move and add it to your arsenal. So you slowly get more and more and more moves, bigger and bigger chains and things like that. And most of the time you'll be fighting against AI, but people can drop into your game kind of like red spirits in Dark Souls. It's just like you're running around in the world, and all of a sudden here's a person. And so that was really fun. I enjoyed the slow progression of skills, because that way I felt like I had mastered each one before I moved on to the next one. So I would recommend Absolver, and I think you'll know pretty quickly if it's not for you. But if you enjoy kind of the rock paper scissors combined with, there's a bit of strategy there, and so you go in with this certain thing and see if it works, and if it doesn't, you can switch stances and change your style, and it's something that I didn't realize would be nearly as much fun as it was. So go ahead and check that one out.
Yeah, so let us know what you think about the Games with Gold and PlayStation Plus games, and which do you think that PlayStation won this month or Xbox?
Xtreme Exorcism won this month.
Yeah, I think it's PlayStation. So let us know in the comments what some of your favorites are. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks for watching This Week in Our Collective Heads. Subscribe over here and click the bell, and that way you'll know about any new videos that we put up, because we put up a lot of gameplay, a lot of stories from games and stuff like that, and gameplay is down here.
Yeah, and you got more editorials and news stuff down here. Check it out.